How do you prove the validity of the New Testament, or the how should we view it, considering that in it has had so many translations, there are so many non-canon books that are not included, and we don't know how those are chosen. So how do you view that?
The New Testament was originally written in Greek. Today we have over 5,700 Greek manuscripts or pieces of manuscripts of the New Testament. We have approximately 10,000 Latin Vulgate manuscripts of the New Testament in the Latin Vulgate. And we have approximately 5,000 manuscripts in Ethiopic, Coptic, Armenian, Slavonic, Georgian, Gothic. So that means we've got about 20,000 handwritten manuscripts before the printing press, when it was mass produced, handwritten from the 2nd century through the 10th century. There is no document that even approaches the New Testament in manuscript evidence. Today, we have Greek manuscripts of the entire New Testament. Those manuscripts of the entire New Testament are over 400 pages long, which means we have over 2.5 million pages of the New Testament. Not only that, we have about 1 million quotes of the New Testament from the Church Fathers, like Ignatius, Bishop of Antioch, Clement, Bishop of Rome, Papias, Polycarp, and others. So we have an incredibly high degree of certainty that we really have what the eyewitnesses wrote.
If there are so many manuscripts and everything, how is what is actually seen in what we read nowadays condensed? Someone had to pick out a few of those to.
Now, if you're asking why the Gnostic Gospels weren't included, and how did the church arrive at the 27 New Testament books? The way the 27 New Testament books were put together was you had to be an eyewitness, or you had to know an eyewitness. Matthew, Mark, and John were eyewitnesses. Luke knew eyewitnesses. Secondly, your document had to agree with the Orthodox Christian faith. And the Gnostic Gospels do not agree with the Orthodox Christian faith. The Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Barnabas, the Gospel of Pilate, the Gospel of Judas are based on Gnostic philosophy, which essentially teaches that the body is evil and the spirit is good. And the Bible teaches no. The Bible teaches that both your body and your spirit are good because God created both.
If the eyewitnesses, they wrote the Gospels 70 years, it's estimated 70 years after the death of Jesus. And lots of that came from oral tradition before.
Yes.
So, how do we know that with all the everything put together, so many years, should we interpret everything in there as a fact?
Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Peter, James. We check Papias, we check the early church fathers, and the overwhelming evidence is this is historically accurate, especially when you consider that many of the eyewitnesses of Christ who saw him risen from the dead died, not for belief. They died for what they claimed to have seen, the dead Christ risen from the dead. You will not die for what you know to be a lie. You might die for a lie, I might die for a lie. But you won't die for what you know to be a lie. Just watch people. Look at Watergate. Dean, Ehrlichman, and Haldeman, 3 brilliant American lawyers, under the pressure of the lawyers, said, oh, you're right, the Watergate scandal did happen. Don't put me into prison, please. So if those 3 American lawyers couldn't pull it off, don't tell me, please, that a bunch of Jewish first-century fishermen and tax collectors are going to pull it off. No. The historical evidence is Jesus really rose from the dead. That is why faith in Christ is not blind faith. That is why faith in Christ is not irrational. It's based on the resurrection of Christ, that he really rose from the dead.
You mentioned that was the reliability of the New Testament.
Yeah.
I want to say that in Matthew 27, Judas dies by hanging himself.
Yeah.
Yet in Acts 1, it says that he died because he fell on the ground and basically exploded on the field.
Very good.
So there are That's just one, but there are other contradictions without both in the New Testament and the Old Testament. How do you reconcile them?
You bet. You ever tried to hang yourself? I hope
No.
not. All right, but guess what? I've had to deal with people who've hanged themselves. It's not easy. When they're successful, they obviously kill themselves. It's suicide. I'll never forget going into the house of one guy who hanged himself with him, and I had to go because I love the guy, and I had to go and see him hanging in the closet where he hanged himself. He didn't want to go, and I don't blame him. It was not a pretty sight. Sir, I can promise you, there's absolutely no contradiction between Judas hanging himself and Judas probably not doing a very good job of it, and the rope breaking or slipping, or the knot slipping, and he falls down, and he bursts open his bowels, and everything falls out. There's no contradiction there.
Well, that's never mentioned though, explicitly.
Sir, every historical record is a partial record of what really happened. Do you think that the book, The Day Lincoln Was Shot, contains every detail of Lincoln's last 24 hours?